All right, in this video, we're going to take a deeper look at something that a lot of people may not even realize is sitting right inside of these frontier AI models. So most people use tools like Gemini or ChatGPT the same way that you'd use Google for search. You type in a question, you get an answer, and maybe just move on. But once you start using the pro versions of these frontier models, you're not just getting a smarter chatbot, you're getting some access to features that let you start to push the tools into different categories where they're customizable, they're persistent, and even act a little bit like agents. So today we're going to take a look at a few built-in features that help you do that. We're going to look at, first up is to look at shaping the model output so it responds in a little better way. And so we'll look at a setting for that. And then we'll look at connecting the model to apps so that you can interact with real information. And then we're going to take a look at a couple of things that are not super obvious but can be useful. One is scheduled actions. I'm surprised that I don't use that more often because it is a really useful feature. So we're going to take a look at that. And then we're going to finally conclude with what the Gemini version is called gems. These are customizable prompts basically that let you do things that you might want to do over and over, and you can set them up the right way to be more productive. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing is I want you to get into your Gemini account. This is why I asked everybody to sign up for the free Gemini Pro version so you can get access to these features. So we're going to go to Settings, and when you go to Settings, let me go back to the regular chat so you'll see how it works. Go to Settings, and then you'll see Personalized Intelligence. Go to there, and you'll see some options. The first one I think is connect to past chats. I didn't know it could do that, and so that's a useful feature. I have that clicked on. And then you can also take a look at connected apps. So if you click here, you can turn on access to the Google Workspace, which means Gmail, Calendar, Google Drive, Google Docs, those kind of things. Now, you may not want to do that. So it depends on what you have in your Gmail. And actually, that's something to think about. As you move forward, it might be useful for you to have a Gmail account that you want to keep pretty clean of personalized stuff that you would want to keep private. And then maybe for transactional kind of things, you'd have a separate Gmail account that you could query using AIs. Okay, so it's also interesting that YouTube connects here and YouTube Music. I don't have a YouTube Music account, but I can see where that would be very useful. So connected apps, that's one thing. And then going back to this personalized intelligence, let me get the buttons the right way. So personalized intelligence, instructions for Gemini. This is what I was talking about for shaping the outputs. So you can add different instructions that apply across the board for every chat. And so I went in and added, don't use em dashes and boldface and avoid superlatives, the things that make AI outputs often look like AI outputs. So you could customize this more, and I probably will be looking at doing that to get better responses from Gemini. Okay, so now that we have these set up, notice I had YouTube put in there. And so let's go to a new chat. And because we can interact with YouTube, I can ask questions. So for example, what is the latest video from the Veritasium channel on YouTube? And what you should see is, you see its little thinking icon, and then it's connected to the YouTube connector. And it took a look, and it said, "Oh yeah, there's the topic, and there's a link to the video," and it was able to make that information. Okay, so that was pretty useful. As you think about it, under Settings and Help, there's also scheduled actions. And so it's a little frustrating when you click on that because you're like, oh, I don't see how to set anything. And it turns out the reason you don't see how to set it is because you set these up in the chat. Okay, so let's go to a new chat and say, every Tuesday, give me the latest Veritasium video from YouTube. I put from YouTube in there because I think it needs to know to connect to that. Okay, and so you hit enter there, and it will show up as, hopefully, a scheduled task. So at 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, I didn't give it a time, it just made up a time. You have the latest Veritasium video from YouTube, and that's a scheduled task. If you want to turn that off, you might have noticed I already had one set up. You go to scheduled actions and you see, I'd asked for the latest 3 videos from Veritasium. And so maybe I just turn that one back off. Okay, so that's a useful feature. You can see where that would be something that you could keep track of things. Maybe you want to be posted on Baylor Athletics every couple of days. You could set that up with a scheduled task. Okay, the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is what would it take to do a little more specialized kind of interactions with connected apps. Okay, so I have one here that I set up that is actually designed to help solve a problem that I actually have. Okay, I have a lot of automations in my life in terms of paying bills. Okay, so automated bills from the city of Waco, automated bills from my utility company, automated bills from AI providers. So I just came up with a list here of 3 things to check. And initially I set up this gem. Okay, so a gem is something that you can use and run. We'll talk about this in just a second, how to run it. But you click on this, you say, I want to make a new gem, and it gives you a name, and it gives you a brief description, and then you're supposed to put in the instructions. Okay, so notice how detailed my instructions turned out to be. Well, it turns out when I first used this, I tried to be, just type something in, see if I can get it to work. All right, and so let me explain the problem that I have. A lot of times these providers will change their billing systems, and when they do that, it flushes out all my automated setup for paying credit cards, and they'll send me an email, but they send it to an email that I don't check all that often. Okay, so what I wanted to do with this is extract some data from a Gmail account. I have a Gmail account set up for bills that, I'm not too worried about the privacy because, if someone wants to break in and start paying some of my bills, I'm not too worried about that. Okay. Also, they don't tend to share anything that's confidential in the emails. All right, so initially, when I tried this, it was really not very good at parsing the dates, and I would not get very good performance coming out of this gem. And so one thing that we haven't talked a lot about, and I do think it's an important thing, sometimes you develop some AI skills, they work for you, and then you just kind of drift away from them and don't use them as much. So that's happened to me for what I call meta prompting. So with meta prompting, I'm trying to solve a specific problem. In this case, because it's a gem, because it's something that when I run it, I want it to give me the answer without further prompting, I really need the prompt to be good. I don't want to go through this iterative process that I've been talking about in class. I want it to just be able to capture everything. So basically, I had an iterative process where I went through with this connected app to Gmail and got Gemini to actually write this prompt where it would be more reliable and not miss any email. So to make that happen, it has a certain path that it needs to follow. It says, oh, we got to calculate the dates. I wanted everything from the current date, look to the first of the month, and then 30 days behind that. So that would get all the bills that I have to worry about. So it searches my Gmail account for Waco, Astound Grande. I have trouble with the cable provider also changing their billing system and not telling me, or they tell me an email and I don't read it. So the problem is you can't just search for wacotexas.gov because they actually put other things as subdomains. So like one of them was hello.wacotex.gov. And so you want to execute a search in a way that Gmail can actually find it. And Gemini knows about that, and it put, this do not use the @ symbol in the from field to make sure subdomains are captured. Okay, I wouldn't have thought of that, but Gemini did. Okay, so from there we summarize the messages, and then what I was curious about and wanting to get is actionable insights. Okay, so based on the email chain, am I missing a payment, or is there something happening? The city of Waco also sends me notifications when I have running water. It's typically a toilet leaking, and so I have to go fix the plumbing whenever I get these notifications. Anyway, so I have this set up as an email summary gem. Okay, and so what I can do here is go back to a new chat, and when I want to do that, unfortunately, I can't call that from the regular chat window. I have to go into the gem and hit this, and then I tell it, process this gem or something, or run it. Do something to make it invoke this agentic-like workflow. And so it's going to my email. It's calculating the dates as it did with the process. It talked about how, I need to reset my password because I forgot it. I had a $503 utility payment, and that's because I'd missed a payment because they changed the billing system. Okay, and then I got a continuous water leak, blah, blah, blah. All these things are in my email and hard to digest, and I would like to just be able to run a gem like this, and it give me the summary of the data, and at the end, give me some actionable insights. So, for example, it detected, I have some leak detection things I need to look at. I have a payment going to the Heart of Texas utility company, actually on February 16th, which is tomorrow. And so it just gives me a way of closing the loop and not missing things that are coming out of my Gmail account. So hopefully you can see where that would be useful. Okay, the next one I wanted to walk through is a YouTube processor, okay? Because yes, I just showed you how it can connect to YouTube, but maybe you want to connect to YouTube and get videos processed in a certain way. Okay, so again, if I go and edit this, you'll see a pretty structured prompt that I put in. But the way I got to this, I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to give me some metadata, like how long is the video? If it's a 40-minute video, I might not want to watch it. If it's 2 minutes, a little more chance that I'd want to watch it, those kind of things. And then I wanted to have it describe what happens with the timestamp. So maybe if I wanted to go to a certain spot in the video, I could look at that, and I didn't want it to overpromise. If it can't do something, let me know it can't do it, those kind of things. And then I also asked it to make a recommendation on whether, based on what it knows about me, if it thinks I would want to watch this video. Okay, so let's run that one. Again, I used meta prompting to get to this more detailed system. By meta prompting, what I mean is I'm asking Gemini to generate the prompt to give me better performance within the gem. Okay, gem is GEM, not, gym like you're working out. Okay, so let's go to this YouTube processor. I've got a video from Veritasium pulled up. I can copy that link, okay, paste this in, and you should be able to see it connecting to your gem, okay? So YouTube processor, now I'm feeling like, it's running this custom gem, and it's pulling out 27 minutes and 15 seconds, and it's looking at entropy, which is a fascinating subject, and I think everybody should watch this video, but that's neither here nor there, all right? And of course, it's recommending it for me because, this is the kind of stuff that engineering professors like. Okay, so hopefully this deeper dive into some of the features of a frontier AI model. We did Gemini in this case because Hopefully everybody in the class has some access to Gemini. Things also work within ChatGPT. One really cool thing within ChatGPT, I hadn't planned to show this, but I think I will. Okay, with ChatGPT, I have this connected to, there's a lot of things you can connect to. You can explore the apps that are available in ChatGPT. This is the paid version, but you see this whole list of apps. Some of them, to me, are questionable on how you would interact with them. But the one that caught my eye was Spotify and Apple Music. Now, I got mad at Spotify and canceled the subscription and just use Apple Music because I already pay Apple for a lot of things, and I get Apple Music basically already paid for. So let's go to a chat and see how that would help me. Okay, I've got a connector to Apple Music. All right, so give me a playlist with rock songs with girl names in them. Okay, so there's a pretty poorly worded prompt, but there you go. Apple Music, it's making a connection to that. And here you see Layla, Roxanne, Angie, Sweet Caroline. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And then importantly, I can click this button, create this music in my library, and it got added to my library. So you can see the potential for interacting with apps is there. Okay, so hopefully you found this useful, and we'll talk more about connections to different data sources and how that can help you with getting the most out of AI.